So we yesterday talked about Mike Lombardi sent a letter out to the alumni or the boosters of North Carolina, basically just fumigating the program, Agent Oranging it, just saying that we took 70 transfers. Basically, they suck. We have 40 incoming freshmen, which is a huge recruiting class, and they suck. And we're going to suck. And then he made some weird analogy to the 76ers, trust the process. He did some phony poser filleting of, what was Roy Williams? Who was
Larry Brown.
Larry Brown. So, like, it just, and if you're a booster, that means you're successful because you have the ridiculous notion of using your income and using your money to pay for a football team to watch, which is ridiculous. You buy tickets, you watch it on TV. I don't understand giving them money. It just seems like give it to charity. What the hell are you giving money to a football team for? But obviously they're smart enough to have made that money. So I highly doubt you're outfoxing them, Mr. Lombardi, with your long-ass quotes from Bill Walsh. We understand you had a low-level position under Bill Walsh. Congratulations. It's like saying I was an intern for Howard Stern. Now I'm Howard Stern. No, you had a low-level position for a good guy. That means nothing. His career sucks. And he's a real dope. But nonetheless, North Carolina football, which even when they cheat, it does not raise the pulse of the nation. This is the first time in my lifetime that I have heard of North Carolina football this much, and it's all negative. And this is a news report out of the home. I don't know if it's Charlotte or what it is, but this is a local news report about Bill Belichick's program.
Breaking right now at 6, a divided locker room, disaster on the football field, and claims of a disorganized mess behind the scenes.
Now, who would have thought this was what was going to be the news story 4 games into his tenure?
This is leading the 6 o'clock news.
Right. And when was the last time that North Carolina football led the 6 o'clock news and it was a national story, like a big national story? I understand that there have been controversies with the program before, but they weren't being talked about on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
I mean, they were low-level team doing stupid hijinks. This is and you don't hire Bill Belichick for $10 million of taxpayer money to have a disorganized mess and a disaster on the field. Everyone take yourself back to 7 years ago. This would have been unimaginable that he flamethrowed his entire legacy like this. And by the way, the Hulu documentary that they were making, we'll get to it in a minute.
Another story.
But they pulled that, the one that Trouble Cub, so his girlfriend so carefully negotiated and slyly maneuvered around. And Mike Lombardi put down Hard Knocks because it was an embarrassment. And so they sign this deal and get these cameras around, and she's orchestrating everything, and they start filming this Hulu thing, and now they backed out because it was so bad.
Cameras actually found what this news report is saying, that it's disorganized and players can't stand each other. And
yeah, so it would be a forever document of this inner workings of a disaster, which would be a great documentary. So if they were truly documentarians, I'd watch
every second of that.
Oh my God, it would have been
awesome.
Heaven on earth. It would have been a huge hit, too. But, of course, the hubris and the lack of any self-reflection doesn't allow for that.
Only on WRAL, this is just the start of the problems for Bill Belichick and North Carolina football.
Parents and players point to a sea of culture problems as the team was blown out this weekend by Clemson in their ACC opener.
Yeah, I'm hearing there's no culture, no organization. It is a complete disaster.
Well, that doesn't sound good at all.
Not a lot of gray area there.
No, that sounds like all very bad things.
Correct.
I mean, and this is the hard-hitting media of North Carolina. I mean, this is like the Globe of the 70s. I mean, this is a real hard hitters. I wonder how often they refer to the local sports programs as this.
Yeah, I'm hearing there's no culture, no organization. It is a complete disaster.
Yeah, and I wonder how that happened when you're going to the boosters and crapping on your current players. How you think this is all going to pan out? again, you're a kid. They paid $2 million to a quarterback who's not playing. They crap on all the old recruiting classes, but they're playing a kid that was part of the team. So none of what everything. It's just like he thinks he's outfoxing the alumni by saying, like, we inherited a crappy roster. Well, that's your quarterback. The kid you paid. I'm not making it up. It's not an inflated figure. They paid a quarterback $2 million to play football. They had plenty of money. With NIL and the transfer portal being wide open, there's no excuse not to put a competitive team on the field. Competitive. No one expected them to win the ACC, but a competitive team.
Be at least as good as last season.
Right. If you have $2 million to spend on a quarterback, that quarterback should be starting for you, or you shouldn't have spent the $2 million. He had every opportunity, and every excuse is just weak. And just eat it. Shut up and eat it. And that's what, at least Belichick wouldn't say anything. He'd just be a dick. But Lombardi's out there trying to massage this and trying to talk as if, like, guys, I got this. Like, you have to understand. No, you don't. And keep your mouth shut. Everything you say is digging the hole deeper. Just, he's so dumb. And Belichick is so dumb to have him be his mouthpiece. Who would have heard him over the last...
But not just the mouthpiece, the guy who is out there selecting the players and finding the talent because, they've been so invested in college football and recruiting and watching these high school kids for years. No, they hopped in at the kind of last second and figured, again, with the hubris, they'd be able to figure it out. Oh, I can go identify a player. It doesn't matter that I just started doing this 3 weeks ago. We'll figure it out.
So if you wanted to be transparent, you make a good point. Wouldn't you just say, look, we're trying to build a culture. We're not going to use the transfer portal to try to fix holes. This is our first recruiting class.
Right.
We're going to build it from the ground up.
Right. And just like cards on the table. We know football. We know how to build a team. We've got a little catch up to do when it comes to recruiting and getting some of these kids here and seeing what's out there. So it's going to take some time, but we're going to build the culture first, and the talent thing, that's a learning curve for us.
Or we like the team that we have, but it's going to take a while to install our values and culture and teach what we need to teach. Give us some time. So you're not crapping on the kids you have now.
Right.
You're just saying under the knowledge that we're building a culture. If you started with that, then none of this would be happening.
It sounds to me like, and I think you guys are right, it sounds to me like the University of North Carolina was sold something else by Belichick when they hired him.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the reason for this urgency.
Yeah,
we're tired of being 6-6 and insignificant. Coach, can you get us an 8-9 wins? Well, sure, I can do that by next year. Look at my resume.
You're 73 years old. You can't build a culture. I mean, people would make fun of that because, like, he's old. And, like, what kind of culture are you going to build in your 70s? But at least you can dismiss that as like you don't know what you're talking about. But when you go out and spend millions of dollars on a team and then turn around and say that whoops-a-daisies, this isn't our fault, well, that's just a lie.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think this was going to happen, Lombardi. Like, you did not. If you wanted to be transparent, you don't say this 3 games into the season. You say it before the season starts.
Those are the kind of quotes I'm getting from sources with firsthand knowledge of the inner workings of Bill Belichick's football program. So we talked to players, parents, members of the coaching staff, the board of trustees, and the athletic department to try to paint a complete picture of what's going on behind the scenes here. According to sources, a divide formed naturally when Belichick was hired. Background players versus the transfers. The way Belichick has run the program hasn't bridged the gap. It's only made it grow. According to multiple sources, UNC has a divided locker room, a disorganized staff, and an overall failure to communicate. A divide is natural when you have Mac Brown-era players and the 70 new ones Belichick brought in.
Like, why bring in 70 players? And do you know that he doesn't let the players that aren't on the active roster dress? Like, he doesn't let them put on, like, a uniform? So you're practicing with North Carolina football, but on game days, like, you're in the stands. But his girlfriend's on the sidelines. Great optics. He's running it like an NFL team, you see.
Yes.
A very, very bad NFL
33rd
team.
NFL team.
But according to sources, preferential treatment and a lack of leadership has added to the discontent. One source said they don't fault the players. They fault the leadership that created this toxic environment. There's an individualistic mindset. Here are the example sources shared with us. Some players and their parents have better parking and stadium access on game days. Players who miss class and meetings aren't being held accountable.
Which, by the way, now the NCAA is investigating this because you're not allowed to give players access to the sidelines, their families access to the sidelines.
And specifically, it's a couple of players who came over with Steve Belichick from his old school.
From Washington.
Yes.
So that was – Lombardi can throw his hands up now and say, look, these aren't my guys.
Yeah,
these are Steve's guys. Which shows the organization. We told you during the offseason, by the way, that we had heard that in that front office, in quotations, there was an incident where one of the Belichicks didn't know that Lombardi had gotten a kid or vice versa, and there was a little bit of like, why is this kid here? Why did we pay for him? Which I suppose would happen when you're adding 70 players to a roster. Which they did just to have an excuse. That seems highly unnecessary to transfer in 70 kids.
How many kids did Dion add when he showed up in Colorado?
Two that mattered.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's something like that. I mean, this is the blueprint that Belichick's apparently trying to work off of.
I'm glad you brought Deion Sanders up because he did, what was it? One. Yeah. More than they had been.
If they were 4-8 the first season, and then they flipped it the second season.
Yeah, but when they had all that attention and all that juice
Dion
at Colorado,
sold it a hell of a lot better than Bill did.
And
I
also,
agree.
they were competing in games. It was a disaster program when he took over.
And actually, they beat TCU to start the season.
Right, remember that?
Yes,
Absolutely.
do.
I mean, they weren't getting blown out in every game. There was things he couldn't fill, like the offensive line and stuff like that. But, I mean, and I know it was his kid, but millions of dollars will get Shedeur Sanders.
The Dion playbook is obviously what Bill and Mike Lombardi are working off of. The difference is Dion is fantastic at selling his program.
Yeah, he's
all the stuff
charismatic
online
guy
about, remember all the people that work here, you got to go to class, all that stuff, all the social media stuff. Bill does nothing of that. Is gruff, doesn't talk to the media, doesn't cut. Like, if you took a look at Dion and all the coaches shows that he did in Boulder during his season there, he had a packed restaurant, answering questions, talking with the host. Bill does it. Mike Lombardi answers all the questions, and Bill grunts while sitting to Lombardi's left. I mean, the difference between those two things. Now, North Carolina may very well go 4-8. And you know what? That 4-8 season is a crap ton worse than Dion's 4-8. His first season.
Well, I mean,
and Dion, like you said, ingratiated himself not only to the fans, but
he was doing bits on Good Morning America, for God's sake.
And I'm guessing to the players' parents too, which they talk about in this piece, how the parents have had no contact with them. So, for the first few weeks, the Mac Brown kids who stayed. Like, I'd like to meet the new coach. No, that's not going to be happening.
It's interesting. All Bill had to do was smile a couple of times and shake hands. He could be on Good Morning America. He's just as famous as Dion.
He was on Good Morning America.
Yeah, that hard-hitting Strahan
It didn't go well.
That's right, the Strahan interview. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was, again,
disaster.
good PR.
God.
To just gloss over everything that was going on.
Little effort. Oh, man.
And again, it's not overly difficult, especially now, to just be accountable and just admit it. Like, just if you put your cards on the table and you haven't committed a crime, Jesus, even if you have committed crimes, look what's going on. Very little retribution for anything if you just admit you did it.
Players are selling their spare game tickets rather than sharing them with teammates. The non-travel roster players don't get to dress for home games, something you might see from an NFL practice player, but not in college football, adding to an overall lack of unity within the team.
And that's the thing is that, like, if you practice with the kids, like, you're friends with the kids, and then they don't even – so you have to put in all that work, and you don't even get to put on a uniform and be a part of the team. I don't understand the advantage of not doing that. Just to make people feel bad.
Yeah, you're
like a sick perversion of creating misery.
You've got 30 Rudies sitting around there that are just getting out there getting beat up for like no end in sight.
Yeah, and just you can't even stand on the sideline during the game. Like if Ohio State does it, if Alabama does it, like why? What is the reason for not doing that other than cruelty?
Parents say they have zero communication with coaches and were asked not to approach Bill Belichick, a stark contrast from the open door approach of Mac Brown.
Yeah, don't talk to him. You can talk to Jordan if you're lucky.
One source said the lack of experience the coaches have is ridiculous. Belichick himself has been praised by multiple sources for his one-on-one coaching. It's his ability to run the program that's being questioned by parents and players. One source said, Bill shuts people out. He's limited in what he says.
Oh, I find that hard to believe.
No evidence of that.
Tough.
It's almost like he's a self-involved idiot.
Whose quarterback is the same age as his girlfriend.
And one quarterback's not playing and making $2 million.
Chancellor Lee Roberts preached patience when discussing Belichick at a Board of Trustees meeting last week. Even after the Clemson loss, the feeling within the UNC athletic department remains the same. Given the investment they've made, patience is the path.
Yeah, given the buyout of the contract, patience is the path. You would have to admit and pay him millions of dollars to go away. And you'd have to admit it was a total failure.
But they also understand that they hired Belichick knowing he didn't have college experience. They would like to help support Belichick and the players. Belichick needs to be willing to receive it at the same time. Overall, the feeling from sources is that the little points of division have become big, and you're seeing it now on the field. You don't need anonymous sources to tell you there's no energy, very little communication on the sidelines. You can see it with your own eyes. We've reached out to Belichick's PR staff. They chose not to comment.
You reached out, huh? Good for you.
Reached out to Trouble Cup.
He did reach out to Joe Gum. By the way, reports Mike Lombardi has been described by multiple sources as rude and nasty. Nobody likes him.
Yeah, well.
Who would have thought that based on his interviews?
I feel we have been robbed of not being able to watch this thing on Hulu. That was going to be something that not only we could have just watched and enjoyed, but talked about. I mean, just imagine, Fred. Imagine what that Hulu thing would have been like.
Fall camp has arrived for 70 new Tar Heel student athletes. And for head coach Bill Belichick, it's time to address his team for the first time. It's time to educate. It's time to inspire. Making connections between the staff and players is a chief priority. Enter Michael Lombardi. He speaks the language of youth and relates to them in a familiar, non-condescending way.
I know way more about this.
I'm just working on my to-do list, but I do it on the typewriter.
Outside the walls of North Carolina's football compound, the fans are gearing up for what they hope will be one of the most exciting seasons ever.
No, they bringing a loser to another loser town. Tar Heel is a loser.
Who did the voice?
It's out there in the ether somewhere.
All right. There you go. Amos.
I don't care.
I wonder how much mileage Lombardi's gotten out of people thinking he was Vince Lombardi's kid.
Oh.
That seems to be maybe an explanation for this stuff.
Lombardi's son is the quarterback's coach. Is that right?
Yes.
San Francisco, I want to say. Does that sound right?
Well, Lombardi's son is on the staff.
Yeah, but talking about the lack of experience on the coaches, the linebackers coach was an analyst and like a grad student somewhere before this, and the cornerbacks coach was working as like in the recruiting office somewhere out in California or something. So I don't know that they've done like any coaching now, and now they're coaching two sneaky important positions on a football team: linebacker and cornerback. And that's who you bring in. And I know Bill is, the defensive guy, and so is Steve. But if you've got these are your two main contacts with the players that haven't really done the coaching thing before, no wonder it's not going well.
No, it's a disaster, and it was not my intention to talk about this today, but the news just keeps breaking. And, just Bill Belichick's insistence of having a hype man who's a complete fool and an ass is really, really confusing. It just, you put a guy as your spokesman. You have a PR person that's a 24-year-old idiot, and then you have a hype man who's a 70-year-old moron. And you just, because you won't talk, you have these other people speaking for you, and you picked two of the worst people on the entire planet who've done nothing but lay waste to your legacy.
For the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.